Hey, hey! Welcome to Generation Rise, the podcast with Marcus Bell. Thank you so much, Rise family, for coming in and checking me out again once again today. Wherever you are, whatever time you're listening to it, I am so appreciative of you taking the time out of your day to check out what I have to say. Now listen, Rise family, this past weekend was the biggest game of the year for football fans. It was the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? And I watched the game, and then after the game, I ended up going and checking out social media for a little bit, and my social media feed was filled with complaints about the game not being fair. I saw things that were kind of hitting to the fact of, why would I expect the game to be fair with Tom Brady being involved and things like that. And it just kind of struck a chord to me that, people think the game was fixed, that the refs didn't call the game fairly, and I'm not disputing some of the calls during the game probably could have went without being called, but I honestly don't necessarily think that those calls that were made the game be put in a position where it was deemed to be something that was unfair. My own personal opinion. What's more is that with saying that the game was not fair, it completely disregards the fact that during the game, Kansas City did not make the plays that were there to be made. I'm talking 3rd and 8 passes being dropped, touchdown passes being dropped, not executing, not adjusting the game plan to the flow of the game, not protecting the quarterback, the defense not being able to stop Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay offense. To me, it just seemed like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had a better game plan. They had better execution, so they won the game. I mean, you're talking about a relatively prolific Kansas City offense that didn't score a touchdown in the game. And a lot of that had to do with the fact they had 2 tackles that were not their starters. They were hurt, so they just couldn't protect Patrick Mahomes as well as they needed to for him to really do his magic. But there were plenty of plays that were there to be made that were not made. But like I said, what really stood out to me after the game was the social media that everybody just didn't see the game as being fairly played out. So it was kind of funny because right now I have 4 little children, and my children are always talking to me about how things are not fair. This isn't fair, that isn't fair, you're making me do that, it isn't fair. So hearing this idea of fairness really rings out to me. And as a parent, we always want our kids to be treated fairly in school or sports or whatever else it is. So the question that I have for my Rise family is, who said that it was going to be or supposed to be fair? Where did we get the idea that everything is supposed to be fair? Everything is supposed to be equal. Everything is supposed to be completely just. Whoever said it was supposed to be fair? Now, one of the things that my mother told me constantly as I was growing up, when I would cry out about, this isn't fair, that isn't fair, oh, you're making me do the dishes, that's not fair, you're making me do this, that's not fair. One of the things that she always told me is, life is not fair. And now that I'm an adult and I have children of my own and I've lived life and I've experienced some things in the world, I realize how right she is with that statement that life is not fair. You know what else isn't fair? Favor is not fair. Access to opportunities is not fair. Access to resources so that you can push forward is not always fair. Justice is not fair. Now think about this. Have you ever had somebody get an opportunity that you deserved? Have you ever seen somebody experience success without you despite the work that you had put in and did with them? Have you ever had somebody receive a favorable decision or benefit that you didn't get? Have you ever gotten into trouble for something that somebody else did? These are all things that are not fair per se. Think about this. Women oftentimes get paid less than men for the same jobs and the same work. That's not fair. People that are connected or have people that are in high-ranking positions and things of that sort, or from a similar socioeconomic group, those people oftentimes get opportunities over more qualified people. Minorities have long fought with and fought through the likes of slavery, segregation, civil rights issues, equal pay issues, redlining, and the lasting economical, emotional, and psychological impacts of such things, which have impacted minorities in so many ways that are beyond just access to resources and things of that sort. The trauma that came with those type of things that have kind of pushed people of minorities back a step or two. Those things are not fair. Crimes oftentimes are punished differently based on a person's race, socioeconomic background, upbringing, family, things of that sort. Just think about a few years ago, there were similar cases of college rape incidents. One involved a minority athlete and the other one involved a white athlete. The punishments that were handed down by our justice system in the two cases were drastically different. That in large part is based on the background of the individuals that were involved in those individual instances. That's not fair. But again, I ask you the question, who said it was going to be fair? I can't think of where people got in their mind that everything was supposed to be fair, everything was supposed to be equitable. If you look through the Bible, if you look through history, if you look through pretty much anything, there's no real foundation or no real impetus put into fairness. Things are not fair. Things are not fair because fairness in and of itself is relative to the person that is judging whether something is fair or not fair. Meaning that how we determine fairness is based on our own interpretation of the situation, and our interpretations are largely impacted and shaped by our experiences and the things that we've gone through, the way that we've been raised, the experiences and things that we have been brought up in. So what one person may deem as fair, somebody else may completely deem to not be fair. So what I want to tell you, Rise family, stop expecting fairness in the things that you're doing, the things that you're pursuing, the things that you're going through. Stop expecting fairness and learn how to do your best and to adapt and make the best of your situation. That is all you can do is adapt and evolve in your situation and make the best out of whatever your particular situation is. Now, let me touch on your situation. What I mean in your situation. First thing that I want my Rise family to stop doing is stop looking around at what other people have, what other people are doing, what other people's opportunities are, things like that. Do not look enviously at what someone else has. The first thing in that is that you don't know what somebody had to do or somebody before them had to do to position them in that place. The Bible says, envy makes the bones rot. Envy makes the bones rot. That means you're dying from the inside, right? So in the reality that we live in, the death or the rotting may not be a physical death. It may not be a physical rotting, may not be your bones rotting. However, when you start to be envious and look around and be jealous and want what other people have, there are other things in you that can start dying. For instance, your joy can start to die. Because now you can't be happy for what you have and the things that you're doing and the progress you're making because you're so focused on what somebody else has and what they're doing. So your joy can start to die. Your motivation can start to die because you see what somebody else has and you don't think you're going to get there. Or you think they have an easier path to get there. You'll never be able to catch up. So your motivation can die. Your desires can die. Your drive can die. All of these things can be a part of that bones rotting to a certain extent because you're envious of what somebody else has. I've said it multiple times. What is for you will be for you. Keep yourself focused on the things that you're doing, the things that you're going after, and stop worrying about what other people have. Extraordinary people do not succeed because they let the idea of being treated fairly kill the things within them that would push them to their destiny. I'm going to say that again. Extraordinary people do not succeed because they let the idea of being treated unfairly infiltrate them and kill the things within them that would push them to their destiny. So if you don't have the joy anymore, you don't have the determination anymore, you don't have the discipline and desire anymore, then what are you pushing for? What is going to be there to get you through the hard times? What is going to be there to help motivate you and push you through to the next level? To motivate you to study a little bit longer? To motivate you to do one more rep? To do one more sprint? If you're always looking at what somebody else has, you have nothing inside of you that's going to make you want to continue to go forward. That's how we can have people that may be better gymnasts than Simone Biles that's sitting at home just watching. Or you can have better playwrights and things than Tyler Perry, or a better athlete than LeBron James. We have people that are walking around our streets every day that are spectacular athletes, that are spectacular in their ability to debate. They're spectacular in their ability to interpret the law. But because there's something that's inside of them that has died, that they do not push forward to get the greatness out of them. Rise family, let me tell you something that I learned a long time ago, and I'm going to pull it back to the Super Bowl. Since people are kind of saying that the game wasn't fair because of the refs and things like that, something that I learned as an athlete when I wrestled and I played football and baseball and basketball, something that was always told to me long ago. It said, do not leave the game in the hands of the refs. And long story short of that is if you do everything that you're supposed to do, one call should not be able to determine the outcome of the game. Or a few calls, a few bad calls. If you leave it in the hands of the ref, then the ref is a person. A ref can make mistakes. A ref has other influences around them that may pressure them to make a call one way or the other. A ref is a human vessel that is prone to make mistakes, make bad calls, or even better, a ref is made to make judgment calls. So in that person's judgment at that time, in that split second, a call can go this way or that way. So you don't leave the game in the hands of the ref. You go out there and you make the plays that you're supposed to make. You execute in the way that you're supposed to execute. You prepare in the way that you're supposed to prepare. And you perform in the way that you're supposed to perform. And then at that point, the game is out of the ref's hands. You've done the things that you could do to go be victorious at that point. And if you lose, then you lose. But beyond just sports, do not leave your destiny in the hands of other people. So don't leave your destiny in the hands of some professor or some connection or some coach or this person or that person. Take your destiny in your own hands and go after what is for you. Go after everything that is in your heart, everything your heart's desire. Go after it. Go do the best that you can do. Go push forward. Go push for your success. Go push for your greatness, regardless of what anybody else has to say. It doesn't matter what anybody else has to say. If it's for you, it will be for you, regardless of the unfairness that you have to go through, that you have to push through to get there. Let me leave you with this. Your success is not dependent on what is deemed to be fair. Have you been obedient? Have you sacrificed? Have you been dedicated? Have you been disciplined? Have you faced and overcome adversity and so on? Have you done everything to get to what you want? Have you done the things that you needed to do to prepare you, to position you so that you can prove and propel? Everything has a price. And every price that is paid may not be by you, but it could have been by your father, or it could have been by your grandfather, or some other ancestor that laid the foundation for you to get to where you are now and to push you forward. So everything has a price. Maybe you have not worked enough to pay the price for what your heart desires. Maybe you haven't worked enough to pay for what your heart desires. So you have to continue to put in the work to pay the price for what your heart desires is and what God has for you. As long as you're working toward what your heart desires, not what anybody else wants, but what your heart desires, your greatness is on the other side of your work. Listen, Rise family, thank you so much again for coming in, checking me out, joining me here today. I want to remind you, do not get caught up in what is fair and what is not fair. What is fair does not even matter. Go earn what it is that you want. Go earn what it is that you desire. If you guys want to reach out to me, I appreciate it. Definitely give me all your feedback. Let me know what you think, what I can do better, what you'd like me to touch on, any of those things. I can be reached on Twitter at RiseENT and the number 1. Instagram, The Rise Generation. YouTube, Generation Rise. You can reach me at my company website, therisegeneration.org. Like, share, subscribe, send this podcast out to your friends and your family, your teammates. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, pretty much all of your favorite podcast hosts. Thank you so much again, Rise family. God bless you. I love you. Now go be great.